Hey everybody, and welcome back. Today we're going to just be taking a look at like the UFC 273 main card. Which of these like big favorites I think is like, or rather, which big underdog is the most likely to pay out, right? And like pull the upset off tonight. And then also just kind of how I'm going to bet the main card in general, right? And I'm going to post a link to the spreadsheet that I'm going to be using that you guys can like, I'm just going to fill the bets in as I go, right? I don't know. I'm not very good at it. Like, don't take it as advice or anything, but I'm going to tell you guys like what I would do personally, how I'm going to bet personally. And then I'm going to track it in a spreadsheet over time that you guys can kind of like follow along with. So, you know, we can just watch what's going on, how these bets are playing out. So anyway, first off, let's talk about which one of these fights is the most likely, I think, to pay out. So Ian Gary versus Darian Weeks. There's some heavy odds there in favor of Ian Gary. I'm not going to touch that one, though. I just don't have a lot of confidence either way in it. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't absolutely shock me if Darian Weeks went out and showed some wrestling and stuff and kind of negated the game of Gary. I don't know. I just don't feel confident betting on that one. But each of the main card fights where the odds are really... Actually, I feel like, I don't know. This is kind of one of those cards, honestly, though, where the odds are... You're like betting on the underdog just because is the risk worth the reward, right? Like, I understand that a lot of these guys, in my opinion, I think every single person on the card that's a favorite, Volkanovsky, Jan, and Chimaev, I think they deserve to be favorites. Like, I think if you look at the stylistic matchup between Chimaev and Burns, I think Chimaev matches up very favorably against him. He's also a lot bigger than him. I also like Sterling versus Jan. If you look at the way Jan started to put it on and get the boxing going and hitting those trips and stuff and taking advantage of Aljamain showing all that stuff, right? Like he just started putting the pressure on Aljamain and beating him up. I think Jan deserves to be the favorite. And Volkanovsky definitely deserves to be the favorite over the Zombie. So the question is like, which of these is the most likely to pull off the upset? And honestly, I think it's Aljamain Sterling. I think that if you look at Chimaev versus Burns, I think that Burns is definitely going to give Chimaev a little bit of problems, right? He's going to present some things to him. I don't think Chimaev's going to blow through him completely. I think there's going to be a couple more layers to the defense and stuff from Burns, but I ultimately do think that Chimaev gets the win. Maybe he does, man. I don't know. He has vicious knockout power. Great. We'll see. We'll see, right? But he's going to be fighting somebody who is legitimately world class. Top 3 to 5 in the world right now, right? And if Chimaev can blow through him, you know, you got to think, well, Dana White's saying Colby Covington on ABC next, right? So, but I think Chimaev has a very good chance to win this fight. I like how he comes straight down the pipe with stuff. Burns more throws big hooks, and I think it leaves openings. I think the hands will be going up because Burns is going to want to be aggressive, like a lot of people are. And I think Chimaev's just going to shoot underneath and get it. I ultimately think I'm going to put a little bit of money on Burns, but how I'm going to bet I'm only going to put like 1 unit on him. Right? So I'm putting 1 unit on Burns on the money line just because it's like he's good, man. He's good and he could fucking crack Chimaev, right? And like Chimaev's human and we haven't seen him do it. I just think like, again, it's like risk versus reward, right? I'm picking Chimaev to win the fight. But do I think that Burns could win? Yeah. So there's a little value there, but I think like a unit. I'm going to bet a unit. So I'll bet like 3 if I feel really confident, 2 if I'm feeling like that's a standard bet, and then 1 if I'm just like, it's worth throwing something on, right? In the Aljamain Sterling versus Piotr Jan fight, though, Aljamain's on DraftKings right now. He's sitting at plus 340. I'm throwing 2 units on him. I feel like if you look at, first off, Jan takes a little bit to get going and get warmed up, right? And I'm wondering, is Aljamain going to try to be more offensive in terms of his grappling and his wrestling? Is he going to try to be mixing things up and setting up takedowns and stuff more often, right? Initiating in these grappling situations more often and being the one to try to initiate it and get it to the ground as opposed to like, you know, trying to just like, it seemed like he was giving his back up so that he could like get into something like that, right? So I think also Sterling has really good kicks and he's long, and if he uses his length well and he can make that range a little bit difficult for Jan to come in, it could present some problems for him. Again, I just think that over the course of the fight, Jan is going to do what he needs to do with the leg kicks, and he'll work. I think he's going to work Sterling down and beat him up over the course of the fight and probably pick up a late finish or a decision win. But I think that the first 3 rounds have a really good chance to be close. And the first 2, again, I think it's kind of the same thing. I think as Jan, he's also a guy who once he settles into a rhythm, he just starts going and boom, laying it on you, right? Saw that in the Sandhagen fight too, where he struggled a little bit early. I mean, it's just the kind of fighter he is. But the question is, can like Aljamain get the first 2, and then can he steal just one of the next 3? Right? Just halt the momentum a little bit, maybe get a big takedown late in the fight. I don't know. But I think that it could turn into a dogfight. And I really think that people are sleeping on Aljo. In the first fight, he just moved a lot, and it looked like he was like stepping and taking power out of things. Like when he would throw, he was losing the snap. It was like he was loading, like his movement just, I don't know. There was like a hitch to it or something. I don't know how to explain it, but like he was taking snap off of shots the way he was moving. Right? And, maybe a lot of that's some of the leg kicks of Jan. He's freezing up when he doesn't have the fluidity. So I don't know. I think Jan wins the fight. But again, I think there's a lot of value in betting on Aljamain Sterling here. And I think he's the most likely out of all of them to win. If you look at Seung Jung versus Volkanovsky, man, it's hard to picture Zombie putting Volkanovsky in a more dangerous position than Ortega put him in on the ground. And the one thing that Volkanovsky is going to have to worry about is the fact that Zombie has real power in his hands. I think that's the most threatening thing about this fight. But I think Volkanovsky is like tough. I think he's going to be able to take a good crack from Zombie first off. I think we've seen him get tagged a couple times with some good shots. Maybe not someone who hits quite like Zombie though, so it's hard to tell, right? I mean, I think Zombie's best chance of winning though is cracking him with something, and I just never like betting on cracking him with something, right? That being said, the odds of Seung Jung, the Zombie, winning by knockout are like plus 900 right now, right? So I'm putting half a unit on the Zombie, just half, just because it's like he's like a plus 600 or some shit. Like what is he right now on the money line? Plus 475 on the money line. But I think his most likely path to victory is by knocking Volkanovsky out. Like if the upset's going to come, that's the way it's going to come. So I'm going to bet a half a unit on him. I think Volkanovsky is just going to beat him up over the course of the fight, right? I really do. I think he's going to back him up. I think he's going to he's going to lure him into things and then start putting the pressure on. You know what I mean? Like it's just, he'll take over as the fight starts to wear on and he gets his reads. But Zombie's still dangerous. And it's like, why not at those odds? Because if Zombie wins, I think that's the most likely scenario is that he hurts Volkanovsky and kind of swarms him while he's hurt. So that's how I'm betting those 3 fights. And again, Gilbert Burns, 1 unit, money line, 1 unit, Aljamain Sterling, money line, 2 units. And again, I'm almost expecting to lose money on this card. I know that sounds crazy, but it's like, this is just how you go I don't know. You know what I mean? You take these chances sometimes just because it's like the odds are too good not to. And I think the odds that one of them pulls off the upset is pretty good, right? Just in my opinion. All right, but let's look at 2 of the fights on the main card, the other 2 fights that are kind of closer. I think there's a lot of value in Mark Madsen. I really do. I'm putting 3 units on Mark Madsen. Money line. He's I got him at plus 105. I don't know what he is on DraftKings right now. Plus 100. And he's going up against Vince Pichel. And everybody keeps talking about how strong Vince Pichel is and stuff, right? But this is the thing that makes me nervous about him in this fight. He gets taken down in nearly every single one of his fights. If you watch his fight against Roosevelt Roberts, taken down. Jim Miller, taken down. Austin Hubbard, taken down. Gregor Gillespie taken down and then mauled, right? Now, Gregor Gillespie, I think, has a little bit more of a tenacious wrestling style than Mark Madsen, but I just feel okay, Vince Pichel's best chance in this fight, in my opinion, is on the feet. If you watch a lot of his fights, what he does is he gets taken down, reverses position somehow, and gets on top, and the person is not able to, get out of, the clinch situation that they're in and reverse things, or they're not able to get up if he's on top of them. I think that Mark Madsen, when you're talking about a silver medalist, Greco-Roman wrestler, that kind of caliber, right? 2016, he took silver in Greco-Roman. When you look at somebody with that caliber of wrestling, I think he's just going to continuously chain things together. Those counters and stuff that Vince Pichel is able to hit on guys like Jim Miller and Roosevelt Roberts. It's I have a hard time believing that Mark Madsen's not going to have control over those wrestling situations. And you might see Pichel get up a couple times, but I think you'll see Madsen hit like a couple mat returns, and it'll just be like a consistent working of it. And once a good wrestler, the problem with facing a good wrestler who's willing to do it all the time, like there is that is the first problem, right? Is that they're willing to do it all the time, and once they expose it, they hunt it relentlessly, right? Because that's their wheelhouse now. And it's more tiring to get taken down over and over again than it is to successfully take somebody down. So I think if you consider the fact that Vince Pichel has been taken down in all of his fights so far, I just think the odds are wrong in this one. And I'm going 3 units on him. And then I'm actually going 2 units on Tisha Torres. This was a tough fight for me to pick, but I actually think that she's just going to be fast. She's going to be stinging Mackenzie Dern with stuff. And I think Mackenzie's going to be surprised at how good her takedown defense is up against the cage. If you look at moments where Tisha gets taken down and like put in like kind of compromising position, it's like against Angela Hill when Angie was like with that catching the kicks and coming over top or something, right? Like it's more the center of the octagon that she's going to struggle with. And I think that if you watch Mackenzie, she throws these big flurry of punches and chases things forward, and jiu-jitsu people often struggle to finish takedowns. And I don't think Mackenzie Dern is any exception. Like she gets them, she finds them with some success. But when you get Tisha up against the cage, she's doing a good job. And even when you think you got her and you got like under her hips and you're dumping her, and like she gets opposed to an elbow and builds back up. And she's short and compact, right? She's strong in those situations. She's going to be a hard person to deal with against the cage. And I think that Mackenzie's going to struggle to get her to the ground. That being said, if it does happen, or if she finds a way to transition to the back somehow up along the cage, Tisha's going to be in trouble. If this fight does go to the ground, I'm aware that there's like danger there for Tisha Torres. Like this is not an easy fight for her. But all in all, I think her movement, I think the fact that she can explode in and get out quickly, I think she's going to be faster than Mackenzie. And I think that Mackenzie is going to be surprised at how hard it is to take her down up against the cage. I think she'll have to work really hard for takedowns. You might see her like, get to some advantageous positions or something, or like, maybe get it, but then Tisha's back up and just doing a lot of hard work when she gets there. And then in the second round, Tisha's going to come out and it's going to be like, if your takedowns are being defended, that's discouraging, guys. And I kind of think that's what's going to happen. I don't know. Maybe Mackenzie's added some layers to her game and she'll be able to get it to the ground a little easier than I think. But again, I think your best chance to take Tisha down is to catch her in the center of the cage with stuff like catching a kick or something and getting her down in open space. She's good up against the cage, and I think that's where Mackenzie's ultimately going to end up and try to hunt her takedowns from. But we'll see. But anyway, just to recap, I'm going 3 units on Mark Madsen. I feel pretty confidently in that one. I think he's going to be able to implement his wrestling game. Tisha Torres, I'm going 2 units. Gilbert Burns, 1 unit on the money line. Aljamain Sterling, 2 units on the money line. And Seung Jung, just a half a unit by KO or TKO. Like I said, this is a tough one. I'm just kind of like, it's like the odds are too good, though, not to bet on some of these people who are massive underdogs. So sprinkling a little out there, I don't know. And then, guys, if you follow me on Instagram and Twitter, it's Dilo_MMA_show, Dilo MMA show. I'll post, like, if I post, like, sometimes I'll be watching the fights and I'll just be like, oh, I like this, like, live for some reason, right? Like, maybe I'll be looking the fighter up before the fight comes on and I'm just, like, analyzing, and I'm like, okay, I kind of got a gut feeling about this. So if you follow me there, I'll be posting all the bets that I make that way as well during the main card. So, or during the whole card, I'm sorry. So, thank you guys for tuning in. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed. Let me know how you guys are going to be betting on the fights tonight. And please, like, don't take my advice too seriously, right? Like, I'm just telling you guys what I'm doing, and we'll see how it plays out over however long. And again, there's a link to the spreadsheet down in the description. It's I've only bet like 2 cards so far that I've been tracking, right? And it was the London card and then the most recent one. So with Chris Dawkins. And who did he just fight? Oh my God, who just beat him? I'm drawing a complete blank on who Chris Dawkins just. I saw his name on the thing, and I'm like, I know that he got knocked out. I don't know. I can't think of it right now. It's seriously not. It's not coming to me. But anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in. I'll catch you later, and enjoy the fights tonight. I'm excited for them. Bye-bye.